This is an SM Media production.
Things are gonna get better real soon. Yeah, I'ma just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. I got a clear view. We're gonna make it soon. Just keep pushing through.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's episode of The Sit Down right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. A very special guest this week. I'm joined by the former Rangers, Falkirk, Swansea and now he's at Stranraer Striker Darryl Duffy. Darryl, it's a pleasure to be on the show, mate. Thanks very much for joining me.
No problem, mate. Thanks very much for having me.
No worries. How's everything been? All good?
Good, mate. Good. As good as we can be in times like we're in just now. You know, the last 8 to 10 months to a year really has been quite tough for everyone. So, but yeah, all that aside, yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
You were hitting form just at the right time. You got a few goals for Stranraer before the season was suspended for a few weeks. Were you gutted?
Yeah, of course. You know, I've been in football long enough now to know and understand that strikers go through purple patches and barren spells, and yeah, I was in a bit of a purple patch the first lockdown. With Stirling Albion. I've been in a purple patch just now with Stranraer as well. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but hopefully whenever we're allowed back playing, you know, we can pick up where we left off.
Obviously, you've been about a bit. Are you enjoying your football now? Like you're getting to the kind of stage of your career.
I've done the whole chasing teams and chasing games. You know, never happy sitting on the bench. Done all that, and I'm a lot more content, a lot more settled in my own head. And I think if you're like that, you know, you can enjoy your football more, and if you're enjoying it, you'll perform better. It goes hand in hand. So, I think taking the decision to go part time, I did that at the right stage of my career as well. You know, 33, I think was a good time for me to leave the kind of full time football. I think if I'd stayed in full time football, I'd maybe have done another year or something.
Yeah.
But this week, you know, I feel really good, and hopefully keep going.
Definitely. Well, maybe we start talking about your early years. Where did you grow up? What was your early kind of family days like?
I grew up in Linwood. I was in Linwood until I left my mum's house at 20 years old. So all my days, all my young days, school and down the park with pals, and that was all in Linwood, Paisley. And I loved it. Loved it there. You know, it's got a bit of a bad rap, Linwood, for being a bit of a hole, but no, I loved growing up there. Had the big sports centre, big Linwood Sports Centre, just over the back of my house. It took me a couple of minutes to get there from my house, and I loved it. You know, I would go home from school and get my ball and straight over to the pitches, and then they built the AstroTurf, and you know, you're climbing the fence to get in the AstroTurf and that. So I loved it, mate. Brilliant. Good days, happy memories.
Brilliant. What were your early kind of football memories? Like, who did you grow up supporting, and who were your heroes?
I grew up a Rangers fan, and obviously Ali McCoist. Loved watching Ali McCoist. Loved it. Just an absolute bomb goal scorer. And, you know, he would maybe not see him for 90 minutes, and then he would pop up at the end and score a 90th minute tap in, and I absolutely loved that. I still to this day I enjoy watching players like that. You don't really get many players like that now.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of the poacher's a wee bit of a dying breed. I think like Jermaine Defoe is probably one of the last at the top level. But yeah, so that was my style, and I kind of moulded my game off a Christ.
Brilliant. Obviously, as well, just talk about you about when you started kind of playing football and what your early kind of boys club days were like.
I was with a team called Williamsborough. They were a brand new team, just formed, and it was kind of doors are open for people that want to come and play. And back then it was 11 a side as well, so I think I was like 8 or 9, So you're playing 11-a-side on an 11-a-side pitch, where size 5 football. But because we were a brand new team as well, we were terrible. Like rubbish. We used to get bumped like 16-0 and stuff every week, and we were the whipping boys of the league. So it was tough, but I just loved playing football so much. And I was good back then as well. You know, I was the boy in the team that was, you know, the kind of bigger, stronger, quicker than everybody else. And I ended up playing all kinds of positions for Rovers. I was there for about 4 years, and I played all kinds of positions. I was in goals, right back, centre half, sweeper, centre mid, attacking mid. Funny enough, I didn't play too much up front.
Right.
I played more a kind of central midfielder, but attacking, doing a lot of attacking. And I spent one full season, I think, when I was like 11 or 12, I spent a full season in goals.
Did you actually?
Put that down to a lack of judgment at that stage. Yeah, I played a year in goals, so just playing everywhere and learning all the different positions, and I loved it.
Brilliant. Just as well, obviously, your boys' club days, and obviously when did the first kind of feeling of Rangers coming looking at you? And was there any other clubs that were interested in you?
It was round about when I was about 12, 13. You know, you start your coaches and stuff will maybe say, oh, you know, this scout here, that scout's there. And I think it was when I was about 13, I went down to England, went down to a couple of clubs in England. I went down to Man City and Everton,
right,
and had like trial games down there. And they both wanted to sign me, but I think that I wouldn't have left home.
Yeah,
At that age, like not a chance. So that got kind of put in the back burner, and then I signed for Celtic when I was 13.
Right, okay.
You know, when a massive, even though I was a Rangers fan, you know, a massive opportunity like that comes along, then you'd be mad to turn it down. And we ended up like being ball boys and stuff like that. And I was a ball boy in the tunnel the day that Henrik Larsson was unveiled at Parkhead. And then just seeing that and experiencing the atmosphere and stuff like that there, you know, just made you even more determined to make it. Well, it did me anyway. You know, I want to be playing on this stage in front of all these fans and stuff. That's definitely what I want to do, and that just drove home for me that was definitely the career I wanted to have.
Brilliant. And how did it come about that obviously you went to Rangers? Just talk a wee bit about that.
Well, I played a year for Celtic at under 13s, and it was actually Celtic that moved me up front.
Right.
So I'd played like attacking midfielder mostly, and it was them that actually moved me up front. And I scored a ridiculous amount of goals, like that season for Celtic, 50 something goals or something. And then Rangers come in and offered me 2 years. It was S form, I think it was called back then. So they come in and offered me a 2-year S form. It was a guy called Billy Duncanson that I talked to, and Billy was an absolute legend. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and was so helpful, you know, for everyone. Like, they would give me £2 or £3 a night for coming into training and stuff, and you know, all the boys at the end of every training session, you get the envelope with your £2 or £3 in it, and give you your Adidas boots, so you weren't having to fork out for your own boots and stuff. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. We trained in the AstroTurf across from the main doors at Ibrox as well. Yeah. So you're training, looking onto Ibrox 2 nights a week, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Billy Russell, an old Rangers player, he was my coach as well, and Billy just really liked me right from day one, because I was quite quiet. I was a quiet boy, and I just kind of got my head down, and I come in and worked hard and listened to the coaches and wanted to like learn and improve. I wasn't a loudmouth or anything like that, and I think Billy really liked that, and he really got the best out of me, and at the end of the 2-year S form working with Billy, I got offered a 4-year, 2-year apprenticeship, 2-year pro.
Brilliant. Who are some of the good players that would come through at the same time as you in that kind of youth team?
I struggle to remember because I always played kind of above. I always played above my year. Like that was another thing. I never played with boys my age. So I can come through with like kind of Chris Burke, who he was just a year above me. So Chris Burke, and then I always remember Charlie being round about as well, Charlie Adam. But again, I think he played above himself. So when I played at my age level, Charlie played above with that team as well. Alan Hutton would have been round about then. Stevie Smith, Tom Brighton, Andy Dowie. Trying to think if I missed anyone. I think Alex Walker played in the first team as well. So all the guys, they would all have been kind of around about the guys that I played S form youth team with. Yeah,
you were in a TV show back then. Do you remember Blue Heaven?
I do remember Blue Heaven. Yeah, Blue Heaven was brilliant. It was a bit weird actually, being filmed by cameras and stuff like that. But unfortunately for me, I was injured pretty much during the whole thing. So whenever they were asking me, "Oh, can you film you in training and games and stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, no, you can come and film me in the pool. I'm doing my rehab." And I think pretty much all of my appearances in it were either on the treatment table or in the pool doing my recovery, doing my rehab. So, but no, it was brilliant. I loved it. I loved doing it. Even at that age. You can be sometimes a bit uncomfortable and stuff like that in front of the camera, but I always felt quite comfortable and quite natural, and I loved doing it. And I had a copy of it as well up to a few years ago, and then everything starts moving over to the next platform, VHS to DVDs, digital, and I would really need to kind of dig around to see if I've still got a copy of it somewhere. I actually seen one come up. Charlie put one on his Twitter, and it was one of his sections, I believe, and it definitely brought back a lot of memories.
It was a brilliant show. Let's just talk about some of the memories you had in your youth team days as well before you kind of get promoted up to the first team.
Well, one of my first ever trips with the youth team, like I think I was literally just in the door, and Billy Duncan's was like, "You got a passport, son?" And I was like, "No, I don't have a passport," because I was still on my mum's passport back then. You didn't have your own. He's like, "Well, you need to get yourself a passport." And I was like, "Right, okay." I went home, like my mum, like, "Oh, I need a passport." "Oh, why do you need a passport?" "Oh, we're going away to play in a tournament somewhere." She was like, "Oh, where are you going?" I was like, "I don't know, 14 or something this stage." "Oh, I don't know. They just asked me if I had a passport and I need to get one organised." And turned out it was Bermuda.
Really?
So I was like 14, 15 playing a tournament in Bermuda. And the heat, that's the one thing I can remember was the heat. Like, so we used to go, like, whenever we went on like family holidays and stuff, we'd go to Spain. And obviously it's a lot hotter than it is in Scotland, but the heat and humidity over there, I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and it was just incredible. But yeah, over to Bermuda, my first ever international club tournament, and it was in Bermuda. Not a bad start.
Very good. Do you remember how the process came to getting promoted up to the first team?
It kind of came out of the blue for me, really. Like when I first went in at 16, the squad and the players that Rangers had back then was incredible, and even a couple of years after that, when I was 17, 18, I mean, the squad was unbelievable. I mean, you're going back to like George Alberts, De Boer, Tugai, Van Bronckhorst, Reina, who was the strikers? Like Flo, Moles, Negri, Lovenkrands, Rod Wallace, Kenny Miller, Billy Dodds, Kanija, Arveladze, Kanchelskis. Do you know what I mean?
See when there's that level of quality though, do you worry then like you're going to struggle to get a spot, or is it?
At that age, Nah, 16, 17 and stuff like that. It was just like you're in the changing room. Because my job, we all had jobs back then as well. So my job was kit in the mornings. So I had to help Jimmy Bell with the balls, the bibs, making sure every player had all his kit ready for him coming in. Make sure they all had a towel, and then after training and after the first team players had all left, my job was to clean up the changing room. So any strap-ins and put all the laundry into the correct barrels and wheel it all through. So I actually spent a lot of time in the first team changing room.
Yeah.
And even just walking around, because it was at Ibrox at that time as well. Murray Park wasn't ready by then. They were building it and it wasn't ready. So it was like we all got changed in the away changing room, and the first team were obviously all up there. So I spent a lot of time wandering around, and you're just like looking at the two guys. You're just like totally starstruck when you first go in. Picking up George Albert's strapmans and stuff, and his dirty gear and putting it in barrels, and it was incredible. It was unbelievable. It was so good. And that was quite a good job as well. Some of the boys had rubbish jobs that weren't very good, so mine was quite good. It got me interacting with all these guys.
Brilliant. And then obviously the Alec McLeish comes in, and you can make a few sub appearances as well. Was Alec McLeish kind of good with you early on?
He was. I mean, I don't know how to kind of say this without putting myself down, but he was kind of tied a wee bit with his budget and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think when the budget got slashed, and he was down to a real kind of skeleton squad of.
Yeah, that was the season after the treble, wasn't it?
Yeah. What Dick Advocat had, and he was bringing in a lot of free transfers like Hamid Namucci and Byram Fatai and
Austin Stad, remember him?
Austin Stad. I think he paid $500,000 for Capuccio or something like that. And it was all kind of guys like that were then coming in he was playing with. So whenever they were picking up injuries, suspensions, loss of form, that's when I kind of got my opportunity. But usually you would kind of be training with the first team quite a bit, and then you'd go in. But I think like before the game I was involved with Forth, I think I trained like once or something with the first team, and then it was the next day, you're in the squad. So like I didn't really know a lot of the players, because by that time you were at Murray Park, and Dick Advocat had made it very separate. You over that side of the building, first team over that side of the building, so you didn't really interact with the first team the same. So it was a bit, my debut kind of came a bit out of the blue, and after that I started training a bit more with the first team, and it was a wee bit better. We kind of learned like guys' nicknames and just stuff like that, and kind of what they would expect from you a bit more. I remember always being my debut being a kind of mixture of being absolutely like amazing, like you've made your first team debut for Rangers at Ibrox, and a bit of disappointment as well, because I think we were 4-0 up or something against Forth, like 40 minutes to go, half an hour to go. So you're sitting thinking on the bench, like thinking, God, I could get a half decent amount of game time here, and score a goal. And if I go on and score a goal, that's it's a great start. I think I got like 9 minutes or something at the end of the game. It was 5-0, and I think I played the last 9 minutes. So that's always what I remember. That's always kind of what I remember about my debut.
And see that season, that was the season after the treble, and it wasn't really going well for Rangers. Was that when you're in and around the first team? Was there a lot of kind of disappointment around the team at that time?
Yeah, there was. I mean, going from the highs of winning a treble and to the next season starting to struggle a bit, budgets cut, everything's a bit more doom and gloom. Even like with the supporters and stuff like that, everything's a bit more doom and gloom. So yeah, it was a bit of that, and but unfortunately when you're at a club like Rangers, you don't get time like that to feel sorry for yourself. You just need to dig deep and get on with it.
Definitely. You made your league debut against Dundee United. You come on for Michael Moles. How good a feeling was that to come on in the league?
brilliant. Aye, brilliant. Do you know, that was like, it was like the next step up, do you know, from like the Forfar one where we all had squad numbers for the Forfar game, so it was just 1 to 11 for the starting 11, and then like 12 to 16 or whatever it was. But I can't remember how many subs it was back then. But so like I was number 15 when I made my debut with no name or anything on the back. But then obviously in the league, so you've got your squad number, your name, the league, league badge and all that on it. So it's you know, it's a Saturday, so the stadium's packed, you know, packed to capacity. So again, it was another step up. Again, I think I played a short amount of time. I think I only got about 10 minutes or something. I remember two things from my league debut. One, I had an opportunity to shoot from about 20 yards out, and I never took it. I tried to play a pass instead, and I nearly set up a goal for Peter Lovenkrands, flashed the ball across goal, and it was just a yard too far in front of him. Just can't really say that he was a bit too slow at getting on it because he was rapid. And that's the two things I remember from my league debut.
How good was the dressing room at that time? Like, who were the good characters on it?
Oh, that's a good question. I always remember Morris Ross being brilliant with me because he'd been in my shoes. You know, he'd been in the youth team and that, and came right through. And Mo was always brilliant. You know, he would always talk to you and give you encouragement. I come on for Mo.
Yeah, and against Forfar.
I think in two of the games, I think the Forfar game and the Panathinaikos game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Mo as well, and you know, he always had nice things to say to you. You know, when you were coming on and stuff like that. And he was very encouraging, which I really liked. So he's always the one that sticks out as being, you know, the most helpful for me.
And obviously the Champions League game against Panathinaikos, the result wasn't very good, but you come on at that. What was that feeling like? Obviously the atmosphere would have been hard to beat.
Brilliant. I mean, you'd probably know what it's like. You were sitting in your living room watching Champions League football when you were young, and the Champions League music comes on, and the buzz you used to get, you know, from that music just coming on when you're sitting in your living room. So to be a part of that, to be stripped and, you know, you're walking at the tunnel as the Champions League music's playing. Unfortunately, I took a right and went onto the bench instead of walking out onto the pitch to line up. And but no, even just that, you know, sitting with the Champions League music playing, blaring at the stadium, and we took the lead.
That's right.
That game as well. Michael Moore scored a header, and I think if we'd won that game, we were qualifying. I think a draw would have took us into Europa, and obviously if we lost, then I think we were at a Europe altogether. And bloody 3-1 down. And I think I got the last 12 minutes or something of that game. You know, it was kind of go on and try and salvage a European campaign, son. On you go. I think I hardly touched the ball. I think by then they were 3-1 up, and just I can remember them just having like 10 men behind the ball, and we were just moving the ball across the pitch, trying to be patient and create opportunities, and they were just not interested in doing anything but winning the ball back and trying to counter on us. And so it was amazing. I've still got my Champions League strip upstairs in my wardrobe, and you know, that's something I'll keep forever and hopefully get it framed one day. Brilliant.
How did the loan to Brecon come about?
I think I was starting to get a bit frustrated. You know, the squad wasn't great, the team wasn't doing well, and I felt that I should have had more opportunities than what I'd been given. I was 19 at the time as well, so you know, I felt that, you know, at 19 you've played all the youth and reserve football that you possibly can, and I wasn't learning anything more. I wasn't gaining anything from playing reserve football or under 21s as it was back then. So I wanted to get and play, and I can't even remember how the loan move came from Brecon. But Brecon were in the Championship at the time, and it was an opportunity to go out and play for a few months and get some first team game time, and I jumped at the chance. It was something, like I say, that I think that was all that was kind of missing.
Yeah.
At the time at Rangers was a bit more first team involvement, and it was Dick Campbell that was the manager there as well, and he was great. He was great with me. He was some character. Him and his brother Pink, they're absolute characters, but again, just wanted boys that were hungry and wanted to work hard, and I done well for him. I think I scored 4 goals in 8 games, and in my 8th game, I broke my ankle at Love Street. So that was the end of that loan move.
And then after that, obviously, you go back to Rangers. Was there talk of a new deal, or were you always going to move on and try something different?
No, there was. They were. Alex McLeish was saying, well, do you fancy doing like another year, and we'll give you another year, and we'll put you on loan for the first 6 months, because that loan, kind of got broken up by the injury. It was a season-ending injury, so he's like, "Oh, we'll keep you in, put you on loan for 6 months, and then kind of take it from there." But I'd been speaking to a few Championship clubs by that time as well, St Johnstone and Falkirk, and after meeting with Yogi at Falkirk and seeing the setup there and how enthusiastic he was and how desperate he was to get me in, because I played against Falkirk for Brecon in that loan spell as well, and Yogi was just saying all the right things to me. He's like the missing piece in my jigsaw, and yeah, that was it. I met Yogi and Chipper once, I think. That was it. That was enough. I was convinced that that was the right thing to do.
And do you have any kind of regrets about your time at Rangers, and probably your kind of best memories as well?
I would have loved to have had more opportunity in the first team. Even the treble winning season, at the end of the season, I remember being disappointed that I wasn't playing in any of the games kind of near the end of the season, because that's the kind of time you've nothing to play for. Everything's kind of done and dusted and wrapped up and stuff, and you're not getting any game time. And I remember that being a wee bit disappointing. But like youth team wise, we went to Australia and won a tournament in Australia and won the league. So that year was a particularly good year, in the youth team, and then obviously making a Champions League debut for your boyhood team, incredible.
Brilliant. You move on to Falkirk. Did you feel as if you had a point to prove after leaving a club like Rangers that they shouldn't get rid of you, basically? Is that?
I've been asked this loads, and I never went to Falkirk with that attitude. No, I never went with I'm going to show you. I just went because I wanted to prove to myself. I wanted to show that I'm a good player and I can score goals and I can do a good job for a team. So I felt that I had to kind of prove that to myself, because I'd done that for years at Rangers. In the youth team and the reserves, I've always scored goals, like always. So no, I don't think I did anything to prove to Rangers, just to myself that that I was ready. I wasn't being impatient at Rangers, and I was ready to play in the first team and do it in the first team. And obviously, I had a great season, scored 27 goals in all competitions. We won the league, we won the Bells Cup. So it was absolutely brilliant.
And how good was Yogi as a manager?
I loved Yogi. I absolutely loved him. He's mad as a hatter, but I absolutely loved him. And again, he was a similar sort of mould to Dick at Brecon. Kind of a bit old school, but Yogi maybe mixed that, blended it a wee bit with a bit more modern with his approach and the way he played the game. But as long as you worked hard, gave them everything, then they would give you everything that they could, and that's the way Yogi was with me, and that again got the best out of me.
And see that first season, who were the good players and characters in that team?
There was a load of good characters, to be fair. We'd Scotty McKenzie, Neil Scally, Craig McPherson, larger than life characters, the three of them. And then I had Russell Latapi and Andy Thompson.
Yeah.
Other guys, kind of supporting me up front. And Tomo was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
He was brilliant. He used that same sort of mould as Ali McCoist as well. He's like, I'll score goals, get the ball in the box. And he'd done that his whole career. Just the wee sharp movements in the box that Tomo had, and he was always just passing on wee bits of information, wee bits of advice to me. And it was absolutely brilliant. I couldn't have asked for somebody better to kind of play with and learn from at that stage of my career.
Brilliant. You won the league that season. Just what went right, and do you remember the final day of winning the league?
Well, we didn't go off to a flying start. I remember that. We didn't go off to a flyer. But then as soon as we did start getting that winning momentum, then we just steamrolled the whole league. And funnily enough, I was speaking to a boy at Stranraer, Scott Robertson, Robbo.
Mm-hmm.
You might know Robbo as well through Gal a wee bit. I was speaking to him about 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, did you play in the game at Falkirk, Queen of the South, like the last game of the season, when the year Falkirk won the league?" And I was like, "I played. I would have played in that game. Like, I can't remember much." He was like, "Oh, I was in the Queen of the South squad at that stage, and like I was getting prepared to come on to make like my first team debut at that point." I was like, "Oh my god, like, I can't even like remember that." And he's like, "And then we scored, and I never got on after that." So I remember that we played Queen of South and we kind of lost, but we got the trophy in that anyway. So it was a wee bit bittersweet that day. Because you want to win the game, before you get your trophy. But as soon as the final whistle went and everything started getting underway, the celebration started getting underway, then you kind of forget about that. And it was an amazing day.
And then obviously after that, were you excited to test yourself in the SPL?
Yeah, I was absolutely buzzing. Again, it's that, it's that next challenge.
Yeah.
That next step, and I couldn't wait to get started. And again, though, Falkirk started kind of slow that season. We didn't have a great start. I think we won our first game of the season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I remember right, it was away to Livingston. I think I scored the winner, 2-1. And then after that, we went on a really bad run, I think, where we only picked up a couple of points from like half a dozen games or something. And then kind of started to find our feet a wee bit more and started picking up points. And I was doing well. I was scoring goals again. I think I had 9 goals up till the January.
Yeah.
I had 9 goals in 19 games up to the January, and then that's when all the kind of rumours started flying about. And
when did you first kind of hear them? And was it just Hull that were looking at you? Was there any other kind of rumours flying about?
It was more Hull were the biggest one. There's other teams kind of mentioned in the background and in passing, but it would have been probably a lower level than what Hull was. There was talk of other teams in Scotland as well. Teams like Hibs and stuff. There was talk of that, but I don't know whether Falkirk just outright denied.
Mm-hmm.
Other Scottish team. So it was the Hull one was the big one, and they took me down and stuff like that. They invited me down to have a look at the stadium and the facilities and all that. So they were the ones that kind of pushed the boat out.
And obviously there was kind of stuff going on behind the scenes. Well, there was kind of some statements as well about they didn't want you to go and things like that. Like, do you remember what was kind of going on behind the scenes and how you were feeling at the time?
I just spoke to, I can just remember my conversations with Yogi and Russell as well. I spoke to Russell Latapi a lot at that stage too. And they were just desperate for me to stay and see out the season. Mm-hmm. Which in hindsight, I was like 20 going on 21 at the time. still kind of young, but maybe listened to the wrong advice. Like my agents were saying, kind of strike while iron's hot. You went on loan to Brecon to prove yourself. You broke your ankle, and that was that. You don't something like that could happen over the next 6 months. And I did that. That's what I did. That's kind of ultimately why I went at that stage and kind of never held off. But I would then discover later on that moving in January is a really tough one.
Yeah.
You really need to hit the ground running when you move in January, and a lot better and a lot more expensive players than me have failed to do it. I think you could probably count on one hand how many have actually made it a success right from the start.
Yeah, and obviously, like, you go to Hull, but do you kind of regret leaving Falkirk at that time, and do you look back well on your Falkirk time?
At that time, no, I don't regret leaving. At that time, I didn't. Again, it was another new challenge. I think it was a step up again from even the Scottish Premier League at that time. The Championship would have been, quite a big step up, and it was that next big challenge for me.
Yeah.
There was a lot of factors with it as well. Peter Taylor was the manager at the time for Hull, and I met Peter Taylor, and he was incredible. His football knowledge and that was unbelievable. He was England under 21 manager at the same time that he was Hull manager as well, so he had that dual role, and he had such a good reputation of developing young English forwards and getting the best out of them. So these are all things that the setup down there was unbelievable as well. The stadium, it was a brand new stadium like Falkirk's, but it was complete.
Yeah,
complete stadium, like a complete bowl, and so just all of those things, made me go down there. But like I say, with hindsight, a few years later, I probably that's probably one of the only regrets I've got in my career, that I did move at that time. But you can only make decisions with the cards that you've got at that time, and at that time it felt like the right decision.
Definitely. You get into a good dressing room. Who were the good characters when you were into the Hull dressing room?
Danny Coles, John Welsh. I still kept in touch with them, and I think that's when there's good guys in your changing room. Goalkeeper was good there as well, Boaz Myhill.
Yeah,
he's a top man too. And you had Damien Delaney, Keith Andrews, and I think if there's any other bigger names, or did they come in? I think the kind of bigger names come in kind of later on, like your Dean Windasses, and Nick Barmby was there. Barmby, when I first went,
he was really good, wasn't he?
Barnes was absolutely brilliant. A brilliant player, an absolute gentleman. Really looked after me as well. Whenever he saw me out, I can remember we'd not been down long, and me and my wife were out at a restaurant having dinner, and Barnes must have been in the restaurant as well, or he was just leaving, or something. But he saw me anyway, and he never come over. He just he sent a bottle of wine over, like a really expensive red bottle of wine, and just got the waiter to send it over, and says, Nick Barmby's give you a bottle of wine to enjoy your dinner. And just wee things like that are that kind of stick with you, and make you feel a bit more settled and a bit more comfortable. So yeah, he was amazing. And
how did your family feel about moving down south?
It was just me and my wife at the time,
right?
So it was just the two of us. So it wasn't anything too stressful.
Yeah.
Also, it's a bit harder for her at the time, because she doesn't know anybody down there. She doesn't have any friends down there, and you're just kind of relying on the other girls, the other wives, being nice people and friendly, and people that you can hang about with. And Danny's wife and John Welsh's wife were good for her, good company for her down there as well. So that makes a difference. Obviously, I've got all the boys and stuff, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
For me. It was tough. We had tough spells. We had hard spells where we missed family and friends up the road, and maybe thought, let's maybe move back up the road and a bit more comfortable. But no, we stuck to it.
Brilliant. You score in your second game against Stoke, and you play a lot in the second half of the season. Were you just eager to get going the next and get a full season under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I started quite well. I remember the goal at Stoke well. It was a cracking goal as well, and doing that kind of so early on really boosts your confidence. And I spoke to Peter Taylor at the end of that season, and he was saying to me that I've been so impressed with you.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't want to start you in too many games. We were struggling at the bottom of the league at that time. But like you've been amazing. Some of the goals you've scored for us are exactly what we've been looking for, and I can't wait for next season to start. He's like, I expect you to be top goal scorer for Hull, one of the top scorers in the division, and really fire us up this table. And I went away my summer holidays like buzzing, again, like that's exactly what you want to hear from your man. And then seeing on Sky Sports News that summer that he'd left, and joined Crystal Palace. And I was like, what? So I couldn't believe that. But again, that was an unbelievable opportunity for him. Just come down for the Premiership, the budget blew holes out the water. He's working with £9 million strikers instead of £250,000 strikers like me. And then Phil Parkinson come in, and I'll always remember my first ever meeting with Phil Parkinson as well. Just kind of sat down in his office, and he never asked me about my summer. He never asked me kind of anything. The first thing he said was, I don't rate Scottish football. I don't rate Scottish players, and you're not going to play in my team.
And what goes through your head though when you hear something like that?
And I was like, well, I've just signed here. I was like, I've got 2 years left.
Yeah.
On my deal, and like I want this to work. I was like, so like I'm not going anywhere, but I want to stay here. And he was like, right, that's fine. You want to stay here, that's fine. And like all through that pre-season, he was on my back all that pre-season, on my back. Wanted me to run faster, and I remember we were abroad. I think it was Portugal. We went to like a training camp in Portugal, or it was Italy. Sorry, it was Italy actually. It was high altitude training, so we're up in the mountains somewhere in Italy, and we're up at like 7 a.m, going like big bike rides, and then we'd be out kind of like lunchtime, one-ish, out in the pitch again, and we'd be doing like running circuits and stuff, and he'd be running behind me, making me run faster and trying to make me run faster and stuff like that during that. So he was like really on my case, and I started the first 2 or 3 games of the season, but I can remember we had a really tough start to that season. We had like West Brom away and some really tough games, and I started the first few. I think we only picked up a point or two in the first few games, and then I never kicked the ball after that for him.
And obviously after that, you send you loan to Hartlepool. How you scored 5 goals in 10 games at Hartlepool? How much did you enjoy that spell?
I loved it. Again, it was a guy called Danny Wilson was the manager there. And, he was very similar. He was very similar mould to like Yogi and Peter Taylor. He was always boosting my confidence and telling me how much I was going to improve his team and how much he was looking forward to working with me. And I went there and done really well. They played good football. The surface there was brilliant as well. And 5 goals in 10 games, and really, really enjoyed my time there. That was in League Two. And then I went back to Hull, and by that point, Phil Parkinson was away. Yeah. And it was Phil Brown was the manager. So obviously I went back to Hull then, it was Phil Brown, and I went in and spoke to him, and he was great. He was great with me as well, Phil Brown. He was like, look, I really like you. That I'm more than happy to have you kind of in about the squad. You're not going to go straight into the team, but I'm happy to kind of have you around about the squad and give you your opportunity if and when it arises and it's up to you. And he also told me that Swansea were in for me. They wanted to take me on loan for the rest of the season too. And I kind of went and looked up Swansea and looked at the league and the table and stuff like that. And I think they were sitting about 10th, 9th or 10th or something like that in the table with about a month and a half, I think, 6 weeks of the season to go. And Roberto Martinez was the manager there too. And they played some brilliant football.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're going to come in and play with a guy called Lee Trundle, and I think you'll really complement each other. And he's like, you'll play. He's like, you're going to play for me because I know you'll score goals. And so I went there. I decided to go there on loan and done really well again. Scored 5 goals in the last 8 games.
Yeah.
Just missed out on playoffs. I think we missed out in the playoffs in the last game. I think it was, I don't know, I can't remember if it was that game or the game before. It was like a crazy game. The rubbery ended like 5-3 or something. Something like we lost the game 5-3 or something like that. And it was like a crazy game. And we just missed out in the playoffs. And I absolutely loved it. Loved working with Roberto. Loved playing up front with Truns. And it was Andy Robertson, Lee Britton were in the wings, and they were great as well. And yeah, that was it, end of that season. And it was a similar sort of conversation again I had that summer with Phil Brown.
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep you here and you can try and work your way into the team. He says, but Swansea have got a bid for you to take you there permanently. And because I'd loved it so much and done so well, that's what I decided to do.
Brilliant. How good was Roberto Martinez's coaching and kind of man management?
Amazing. He was a lot kind of quieter than like a Yogi or a Danny Wilson or a Peter Taylor. He was a lot quieter than them, but his knowledge and understanding the game is second to none. And his training was amazing. Training was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Just everything with the ball. Everything. If you done running, it was with the ball. If you done obviously passing drills and all that, everything had the ball involved. And that was the kind of start of the Spanish Revolution in Swansea as well. He was bringing over all the Spaniards, and we'd some team.
Who were the good players?
I'll try and start with Doris de Vries in goals. Angel Rangel, Spanish right back. Gary Monk, centre half. Full back was a boy called Marcus Painter. Birmingham. He was such a good player. Like, I was surprised he didn't kind of want to have a kind of better career than he did. There was a boy, the best boy in the team at that time was a boy called Ferry Boda.
Right.
He was a Dutch midfielder, but hampered with cruciate injuries, cruciate ligament injuries, could never stay fit. And it was such a shame because he was a sensational player. Like, best player at Swansea by far. And such good players at Swansea at that stage as well. The Leon Brittons, Andy Robinsons, Lee Trundles, Chris O'Leary's, Darren Prattley was there.
Yeah.
There's so many good players. Me and Jason Scotland up front. So, smashing team, really good team.
Yeah, you formed a really good partnership with Jason Scotland in that season, but you weren't scoring as much. Did you have to kind of change your game to complement Jason a bit?
Well, we started playing the season. We played 4-4-2. Started the season playing 4-4-2. Obviously, Truns was there at the same time as well. Trundle was still there. So first it was actually me and Trundle in pre-season and stuff. It was me and Trundle playing together, and then Truns left and went to Bristol City. That was a big blow for me as well, because Jace is a top player as well, but different from Truns, completely different style. A bit more similar to me in the way I played. He kind of dropped a wee bit deeper than what I kind of like to do, but we started anyway. We played and we were playing well. And winning games. Then I got injured. I hurt my groin, and I tried to rush back from my groin injury too quick and done it again, and ended up out for quite a while. I ended up out for 6 weeks or something. And and because it was only me and Jace were the only two real strikers, Roberto changed the system and went up front, and we continued on that crazy run. So from kind of then on, my appearances were mostly limited to sub appearances. So that was how that kind of season panned out. But we went on and we blitzed the league. We won the league, and it was great. Winning an all league, another league winners medal, and another promotion.
Brilliant. How did it kind of end up that you kind of left at the end of that? Was it that season you left, or did you stay another season?
Yeah. End of that season, I left. It was the same sort of thing again. I had a meeting with Roberto at the end of that season, and he said, we're going up and it'll be the same. I'm not changing shape. I'll be one striker up front. He's like, but because it's the championship as well, like, I'm not going to have just you and Jason. I'm going to bring in probably two more strikers as well. There'll be a lot more competition, and none of you will be guaranteed like a starting place. He said, but Bristol Rovers have come in for you. They've put in an offer, and if you're happy to speak to them and happy to accept it, then we've agreed a fee with them. So it's just down to you. He's like, we're not telling you to leave, not at all. Kind of keep you and have you in the squad and fight for your place. But if you want to go, like, we'll understand, and I won't stand in your way. So I went and met Bristol Rovers, had a look around and had a look at their squad and stuff, and decided that was the best thing to do.
Yeah, you go to Bristol Rovers. Paul Trollope signed you for Bristol Rovers, and in the first season you form a partnership with Ricky Lambert. How good was he? I
didn't really know too much about Ricky Lambert back then. He'd been working his way up the divisions, so I didn't really know too much about him. But I certainly knew a lot about him after the first couple of weeks of the season. Lazy guy. Oh, lazy guy. Right, lazy. You'll probably admit as well, he's probably a wee bit overweight at Bristol Rovers, but what a player. What a player. Jesus. The strike, I don't think I've ever seen a guy strike a ball as cleanly as what Lambo did, and scored all kinds of goals. Scored from 40 yards, scored headers, scored goals in the box, scored free kicks, penalties. The lot. Scored the lot, and what a player. What a player.
Brilliant. Your first season, you score 11 goals and you finish 11th. But how was your kind of relationship with Paul Trollope? Was it good?
At that time, it was fine. It was good. No problems at all. Me and Lambo had worked a good combo up front. I did a lot of the running. He did a lot of the scoring the goals, and it was working. It was working for us. And then the next season, Paul Trollope signed a couple other strikers, and I never really featured that much. Again, coming off the bench, and I was starting to get frustrated. The longer that season went on, and the more that continued, I was getting frustrated. And the start of the next season, that's when I asked to go out and try and get some games somewhere else if it was possible.
Yeah, you went on to Carlisle, but you only went there for a couple of months. Did you have the option to stay there till the summer?
I went to Carlisle for a half-season loan, but went up there, and I think after 2 games, I felt something in my hamstring.
Right.
And I didn't think anything of it because I couldn't sprint flat out, but I could still run about.
Yeah.
It must just be like tight. It must just be tightness because I've not played like very much, and getting straight into playing games, it must just be tight. And then my 8th game, I felt something just kind of go again, and I torn my hamstring. So I played a lot of those games at Carlisle with a torn hamstring, and again that was my season done. Again, going out to try and get games and get injured, and that was it. Season over.
And then obviously you go back to Bristol Rovers and you make 3 appearances the next season. But you said there about Paul Trollope, but at the start it was good, but did it kind of sour like after that?
After that, like, I didn't play. I wasn't playing, so I wasn't happy about not playing, and he didn't like that I wasn't happy.
Right.
not playing, and I would kind of moan and grump. And it was one game. After one game, it was a night game, and we lost at home, and I think we lost 2-0. I think it was 2-0. And I was unused. I never even got on. And obviously, I score goals. I go on and I score goals. So I've been kind of doing that. And then I didn't play that night, and we were doing the running at the end, and I was annoyed. So I did the running. I did it all, but probably didn't do it flat out.
Yeah.
I kind of knew a new fitness guy that was in. He'd come from the army, and he was a bit stiff, the guy. So I'd been kind of trying to help him integrate him into the squad and into the football way and stuff like that. And I had quite a good relationship with him. Mm-hmm. Just in a kind of bad headspace at the moment. I know my head wasn't in it, but I completed that. I done it. So that's it. And that was kind of, I left it at that. And then in the changing room at the end of the game, he was speaking to the manager and the assistant manager 10 feet away from me. Mm-hmm. He was saying, Darryl wasn't putting the effort in. You can see the manager and the assistant looking over at you and stuff like that. And then he come over and he sat down next to me and was trying to chat to me and stuff, and I was annoyed with him, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, what was that about? Mm-hmm. Did you have a nice wee chat with him there? Do you know what I mean? The manager heard me and took major offence to it. Mm-hmm. And started a bit of a shouting match in the changing room, and that was it. After that. That was the final nail in the coffin.
And then obviously that kind of time, Yogi, when does Yogi first get in touch with you about reuniting with him at Hibs?
It was the start of the next season.
Right.
So I think I'd done pre-season and stuff with Bristol Rovers. And then, no, I hadn't done pre-season with Bristol Rovers. I hadn't, so I went up and done pre-season with Hibs. So it was the end of that season. Kind of went in, and Paul Trott was like, look, I'm wanting you to move on. I was like, that's fine, I want to move on as well. And we'll see what kind of comes up over the summer. And then the opportunity to go to Hibs for a full season on loan with Yogi. I was like, aye, straight away. Big club, working with Yogi again, absolutely ideal. So got that done and dusted, absolutely delighted. Up the road, near family and friends and that again as well. Absolutely flying in pre-season, loving it, loving working under Yogi, gets the best out of me. And then the Friday before the first league game of the season, we're doing a bit of shape and training. We're playing Inverness, the first league game of the season, and I turned to chase a through ball and broke my foot. So I'm walking off the chair. I said to Yogi, I've broke my foot. And I need to go in. Don't be daft. But I kind of went in and said to the physio, I broke my foot. I've done this before. I did it when I was 16 at Rangers at the Blue Heaven time. Yeah. That was kind of one of the injuries. And I was like, I know I've done it. And sure enough, broken foot. So opted to get surgery again, because when I'd done it at Rangers, I'd done it 3 times. Right. Broke the same bit of bone 3 times, doing rehab and doing games and stuff like that. So we made the decision this time just to get surgery straight away. Mm-hmm. Recovery a bit longer, but you're guaranteed after that you'll be back playing. Yeah. So done the surgery, and I think it was 2 or 3 months. I think I was out for. And I was doing my rehab, and it was that really bad winter. Mm-hmm. It was the Beast from the East winter.
Yeah, it was horrible. There
was a snow everywhere. So I could hardly do any rehab outside. Mm-hmm. And I was doing my rehab inside. But it was like kind of indoor Astro, and it was really small and really hard. And I was doing my running in there, and I was getting loads of problems with my Achilles. And I kept saying to the physio, my Achilles is really painful and swollen and sore, and I'd done something to my Achilles. I'd strained it or something, and then Yogi got the sack.
Yeah, and see then, who were the good characters in that Hibs dressing room when you were in there?
It was a weird time at Hibs. Yogi had done really well, and then he'd signed a load of players, and when things didn't go well, it was that kind of weird atmosphere. And the change, it was a good bunch of guys still. Guys like Martin Scott, who I still speak to now, I'm still really good friends with now. He was there. Lewis Stevenson, Paul Hanlon, who are still there now, they were there. Zamama, the wee Moroccan, was there. Derek Riordan, Colin Nash. So there was still, a good core of good players. Mark Brown was in goals, so there was still a real good core and good players. Ian Murray as well, who had to work under at Airdrie, was there too. So there was a load of good guys there, a load of good guys in the changing room at that time.
Yeah, Colin Calderwood gets the job. Like, were you kind of excited to work with him?
I was, until I found out he was one of Paul Trollope's best mates.
All right.
And then I was like, so like he came in and I was injured when he first came in. I got an injection in my Achilles, and that takes like a wee bit of time. And then my rehab and stuff like that. So it took me a while to get back fit. But I started under Colin Calderwood. The first few games, he seemed really keen and really desperate to get me in, to get me in the team, and he actually played me right wing at Tynecastle. I think that was my first start. I played right wing at Tynecastle. I played really well, done well. We lost the game, obviously, so it's obviously a bit of doom and gloom, and so I think I played the first 3 or 4 games and felt like I was just starting to get my fitness and my sharpness back, and walking down the corridor one day, and Paul Trollope's walking down the corridor in the other way, and I was like, "All right, Paul, how you doing?" He's like, "It's good to see you," and all that, and then I never kicked the ball after that, strangely enough. Never kicked the ball after that, so I think that was the end of it for me.
And do you kind of look back in that spell as disappointing, just with injuries and how it kind of ended?
I missed the opportunity with injuries. I think if I could have stayed fit, it might not have. I mean, it might not have, but it might. There's always that. Oh, it might have. It might have went better for me. It might have went better for Yogi. And it could have took our careers on different paths from then. But it didn't. It wasn't to be. So that is what it is.
And then you play 9 games for Bristol Rovers, and then you leave at the end of that season. Was it just disappointing the way it ended at Bristol Rovers, or were you almost surprised when you get released?
No, not surprised to get released at all. But no, yeah, just a wee bit disappointed with how it went. Having a real good partnership with Lambo the first season, deteriorated. Literally the next season. So yeah, just really disappointing from that side. But looking forward to another challenge. Yeah,
you go to Cheltenham. Why was it Cheltenham? Was there any other offers that came your way? Why was Cheltenham the kind of place you went?
Dundee United were wanting me in. They wanted to take me in to replace David Goodwillie because he was going to Blackburn.
Yeah.
At the time, but Blackburn were kind of pulling their heels with the deal a wee bit because Goody had a court case at the time, so they were wanting that to all be done and dusted before they kind of made the transfer official. And I was just kind of waiting for this to happen. I was in training with Falkirk just to keep fit because the season had started, pre-season was over. And the season had started in Scotland at that time because it started early.
It started in July, is it?
It started early that year, so I was waiting about, and it just seemed like it was never going to happen. And Cheltenham had already started their pre-season, so I was a bit like I could go to Cheltenham, join in pre-season and start right from the beginning, or I can wait hopefully Goody's transfer goes through, and then I can go into Dundee United. But they've already started, and they're all integrated, they're all in, and so that was the kind of two choices I had, and I thought, well, it's better to go and get a bit of a pre-season under my belt and try and get the season off to a flyer. So that's why I went to Cheltenham.
Brilliant. Mark Yates signed you that season, and you've a really good start, and he's finished sixth. What was the kind of memories of the season?
We done brilliant that season. We were really well organised. We played good football at times, but we were probably a kind of small team in that league at the time. There were some really big teams, and we played really well against the bigger teams as well. Containing them and hitting them on the break. And I think I scored 18 goals my first season. We got to the playoffs, and it was a really good team with some good players.
Who was good in that team? Who did you really enjoy playing with and the dressing room?
We had at the start of the season we had Marlon Pack, Russell Penn, Luke Summerfield, Kaid Mohammed, Jimmy Spencer. Later on in that season, we brought in Jack Butland and Luke Garbett on loan deals, and they were from Premier League clubs.
Yeah,
they were fantastic players, and it was a really good season, really good fun team to play in. Scott Brown, the goalkeeper, Keith Lowe, one of the defenders. There was a great team spirit in that team, and that's probably why we punched above our weight and got in the playoffs. Yeah,
you get to the playoff final against Crewe at Wembley. What was it like getting out in Wembley that day?
One of the biggest stadiums in England. So again, it's that we want to be playing in those games at that level. But it was myself and the boy Russell Penn, who I was talking about there, a midfielder. We'd been kind of ever presence in the team throughout the whole season, and it got to the playoff semi-finals, and me and Russ both kind of got dropped for the semi-final in the final. So that was that again. That's a bit of a blow. That's a bit of a boot in the backside. You get the team there and you do really well consistently throughout the season, and then your subs for the kind of big showpiece games at the end of the season. So, and then we lost.
Why was that? Why did you not play?
Gaffer at that stage, he changed formation. I don't know why he changed formation. We'd been 4-3-3 all season, and it had been working for us. But in the playoffs, he went 4-4-2. So when he said he was going 4-4-2, I'm thinking, oh, that's fine. I've went for being the central one of a three. So I'll be one of the two. So I went for being the central one and a three to being a sub when we were playing two. And we were playing three in midfield, and I was one of the three in midfield, and he was the one that was sacrificed at the midfield. So, I mean, me and Penna, we'd done a thing over the last lockdown as well. It was a kind of Cheltenham thing, and we were talking about it, and I was like, well, at least, you got dropped. There was only two positions for the three of you, and you get dropped for that. I get dropped when I was the one, and it went to two, and I still got dropped. It's like, so you can be raging, but I've got more reason to be raging.
How sore was it to lose to Crewe that day?
It was horrible. Like I say, you put so much effort into the season, and I think it was probably especially better for me and Penna as well, because we didn't start the game, and it was a boy called Nick Powell was playing for. He eventually went to Man U.
Class, wasn't he?
He scored a wonder goal. A wonder goal, the first goal that day, and that knocks the wind out your sails as well. And so it was an amazing experience, and it was great for the club and the town of Cheltenham. But just a wee bit sad that we couldn't get over that final hurdle.
And then the season after, you play regularly up until February, and then do you pick up another injury?
No, just again not playing. Just start to get left out of the team. I think it was up until around about the January time, and then he made a couple of signings in the January and just started going with his new his new signings in the January, and our form kind of dipped as well, and we weren't doing as well, and I still wasn't getting an opportunity. So yeah, I was starting to get really frustrated and disheartened with football at this stage.
And he offers you a new contract as well, but did you kind of have it in your head that you were wanting to try a new challenge?
Yeah, I'd had enough of kind of British football by this stage. It just, I'd been on the same theme with 3 different clubs. You go in really well, you're top goal scorer, the team's doing well, and then the next season you're out the team. So yeah, I'd kind of had enough by this stage. I'd kind of had enough. I was like, look, I'm kind of fed up with British football altogether. I'd always wanted to play abroad, and one of my mates from the Falkirk time, Alan Gow, had been on going to India. So I went over and decided to give India a go.
And see, just before you went to India, you were training with Kilmarnock. Was there a chance at a deal there, or was that just to get fitness?
That was just my fitness. I was in, like I said, I'd made up my mind. I was kind of done with British football, and I wanted a new challenge abroad. I wanted to experience something different. And yeah, India 4 years and absolutely loved it.
And how did the family feel about that move?
Couldn't have been more supportive.
Really?
More supportive. It was actually my wife that was kind of like, let's just go and do it. If it doesn't work out, we come home and we've not lost anything. So let's just kind of go for it. And yeah, amazing. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. After the initial first 6 weeks where I hated it and wanted to come home, then after that, no, absolutely loved it. Spending 4 years there, then that tells its own story.
Your first club is it Salgaonkar? Is that how you pronounce it?
Salgaonkar.
Salgaonkar. What was the culture like in India? Like, how did you kind of find that?
It was so chilled, so laid back, so relaxed. Nobody's in any rush to do anything or go anywhere, and it was nice, after the kind of hustle and bustle and 100 mile an hour of British football for so long. It was really nice to just go and kick back and relax and enjoy yourself. We train in really early morning because it was so hot. Train really early morning, and I'd be home for like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and the rest of the day was for me and the wife and the kids.
Brilliant.
And we'd go and spend it at the swimming pool or at the beach, and that was our life for 3 years.
It was at a good standard in India at the time.
It got better every year. Every year it got better. The first year was probably kind of like bottom half of League Two in England.
Right.
The Indian players were super fit.
Right.
And technically unbelievable. Technically so good. But tactically probably a bit more naive and a bit more less knowledgeable from a tactical side, because at that stage in India there was no youth academies, there was no boys club.
Yeah.
Boys' first real learning experiences when we signed for a team. Maybe 17, 18 sometimes, 19, 20 even, and that's the first time they're learning about 4-4-2 or learning about 4-3 or where you should be with the ball, where you should be without the ball, but yeah, by the time I left in my 4th year, there was academies and under 9s, 10s, 11s going by that stage. So like I say, it was just getting better and better every year.
Brilliant. You have 2 seasons there and scored 25 goals. Like, how much did you enjoy your spell at Salgaonkar?
Loved it. I loved it. Like I say, it was so chilled and so relaxed, and I'm quite a laid back person as well. So even the goings were a bit too laid back for me sometimes. Yes, we'll do it. We'll get that done. Yes, no problem. And then 2 weeks later, you're still waiting. You're a bit like, come on. But no, I really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, good times and fun memories. Won a trophy there as well. We won one of the cup competitions when I was there too. So yeah, successful.
Malky Thompson was the manager. How good was he?
Malky, brilliant. I'd known Malky for years, and again, he's got that real enthusiasm and just loves being on the training pitch and training people and taking games. And Malky's different class. He's got so much knowledge in his head and about training and tactics and games and stuff like that. And he's a great guy to do it as well.
And Martin Scott was there as well. You mentioned earlier on how good friends you were. Like, did you get closer when you were over there together?
Yeah, I mean, we lived in the same apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy just came over on his own as well. Like his wife and kids didn't come over.
Right.
So Jimmy was kicking about with us all the time. You know, when we went out for food or that, we would always chap his door and get him to come out with us. So he get him out and about, and me and him would just go it ourselves sometimes as well, just for a bit of boy time. So it was really good, and I really enjoyed having another British player on the team as well. My first 2 years, there was no British boys in my team at all. So to have Jimmy and Malky in the third year was absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. You going loan to Goa as well? What was the reason you went on loan?
By this stage, the I League, which Salgonka played in, only ran for 6 months.
Right. Okay.
It ran from July to December. And then the Indian Super League, which had just started, that was the first season, the inaugural season that season.
Yeah.
It ran from December to May.
Right, okay.
So it was either sit in my backside for 5 months and have Salgonka pay me for 5 months and do nothing, or go and play again, play for FC Goa, and FC Goa could pay my wages and save Salgonka the money as well. So it was win-win. There was no way I was going to sit on my backside and do nothing for 5 months. And Salgonka had been great with me as well. So to save them my wages for 5 months as well, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer all round. So that's how that happened.
And did you enjoy that spell at Goa?
Loved it, yeah, absolutely loved it. Again, unfortunately, got injured.
Right.
My fourth game, broke my leg. So yeah, didn't really get to have the full season or the full experience of it, but loved it. Zico was my manager, Brazilian Zico, and
was it really?
Lucio was the captain. World Cup and Champions League winner. Lucio was my captain, and the enthusiasm that he had for the game. Like, he was 36 or 37, I think, at that stage, and his desire and work ethic and will to win still at his age in India was unbelievable, and I think that's probably part of the reason why I'm still playing now.
Yeah.
By him and what he was like at that age.
But was your relationship like with Zico? There must have been a good story there.
He didn't speak much English. He's a translator, right. So he's always just shouting at you in Brazilian. Mostly, or Portuguese as they speak there, but again, it was always boa I got, which is good. So that was good. But no, he was good as well. He was always showing me different, getting me doing different types of finishing, which I quite liked. He wasn't just passing the ball out to you and take a touch and finish. He was getting you to things like stand with your back to goal, and he would throw the ball at you, fire it at you, and he would say you have one touch, turn, and one touch shoot. So he was always doing stuff like that, and with me as well, at the end of training and stuff. So I loved all that. I loved all that stuff. But like I say, I was an unused sub for 2 games, the first 2 games. Then I come on as a sub, second 2 games, and I started the 5th game, started the 6th game, and in that 6th game I broke my leg. So I'd literally just worked my way in past all the Brazilians. So it was like 2 Brazilian strikers and me. So he was playing the Brazilian strikers at the start, and I had Lucio and saying to me, speaking to me in training, saying just keep going. He's like, you're better. You will play. We are better with you in the team. So, that he was brilliant, like that way with me as well, and that's the way I get, the best out of me as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, literally just broke into the team and bloody broke my leg. So, and because it's such a short season as well, then that's it. That was it. That was season over.
And then you go to Moan Bagoon and you score 8 goals. Was that a good spell as well?
Yeah, it was. They're like Moan Bagan are like the Rangers and Celtic. Moan Bagan and East Bengal, the two Calcutta. Right. They get like 100,000 fans at derby games and stuff like that. It was incredible. Kind of being in that kind of big, massive club with huge expectations, being in that kind of atmosphere again, kind of similar to the Rangers one. I felt like I'd kind of come full circle again, back around to that. And yeah, I did, enjoyed it. We missed out on the league on the last game of the season on goal difference, I think, or by a point. I think it was a point actually. And I scored the winner for us that day.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on the pitch just waiting for the other result to come in. And we found out like later on that night in the hotel that the team that were top of the league, they were playing against another team, and the other team missed an open goal in the 93rd minute. And if he'd have scored, the ball's come across. He was one of the top goal scorers in the league as well, the guy. The ball come across and he's tried, I don't know what he's tried to do, he's tried to just tap it in and he put it wide. If he scores that, we won the league. And that's just football for you. That doesn't sum up football in 30 seconds, then I don't know what does. So that was unfortunate, and that would have been an amazing way to finish my time in India, winning the league, but it wasn't meant to be. And
what was the kind of best story you've got for your time in India? There must be a few belters.
I've got a few belters, from going away to tournaments, to playing cup tournaments and turning up to your training pitch and there's horses grazing on your pitch and the coaching staff are running over going, chasing horses away, to my driver hit a cow on a road one day. Just loads of stuff like that. So my opening experiences that I'll never forget.
How brilliant was the 4 years in India though?
Brilliant, mate. I wouldn't change it for anything. From a life perspective, from a family life perspective, learning new cultures and new ways of eating and new food and everything. Excuse me. We had some downtime, a wee break in the league between, like, they had a local league which they used as a kind of pre-season. So we'd done like the local league stuff before the main league start, and in between that there was like a couple of week break, where we got some time off and we got to go and visit the Taj Mahal, and so we've been to the Taj Mahal and we've all got pictures, all our pictures and that at the Taj Mahal, and just things like that, that'll stay with you forever.
Brilliant. Were you keen to come home to Scotland at that point?
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Our kids had done a year. One had done a year. One had done a year and a half in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we wanted them to start getting settled in school and building up their own friendships.
Yeah.
In school, so it was always the plan was always, when our kind of youngest one was going into primary one, that we would come home. So we came home, he started primary one, and my oldest boy was in primary 3. So that was always the plan, mate, yeah.
Brilliant. And obviously Jack Ross signed you for St Mirren. Were you excited to work with him?
I was, yeah. Known Jacko from Falkirk as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same time as me, so knew him as a player. He's a good guy, so was looking forward to it. Been in training and really enjoyed his training as well. His training was absolutely brilliant. Probably some of the best, behind like your Robertos and your Yogis. His training was like that sort of level. so really loved it, but just didn't play for him. He was kind of desperate to get me in, and I turned down another offer to sign for him, and then never really played. And it was such a weird one. Like I always meant to speak to him at the end of that season, just to kind of pick his brain and see what his thoughts were. But I'd left. I'd went on loan to get games at Airdrie.
Yeah. And was that a good spell going to Airdrie?
It was, yeah. It was a guy called Stevie Finlay.
Yeah.
Another great guy, Stevie. Brilliant guy, and I really enjoyed playing with him as well. He enjoyed working with me, and he called me Mr. Goals, and he always wanted me to score goals, and that's all I wanted as well. So yeah, I got on really well with Stevie, and I think he was, really unfortunate that he left Airdrie when he did so early into the season. So I think we could have went on and had a real good season that season.
And you scored in the first 3 games. You made the move permanent in the summer, and you scored in the first 3 games of the season. Were you enjoying your football at that point?
I was, yeah. I don't know what it is with me and loans, but I went on loan, done really well, and then broke my rib.
Did you?
I broke my rib for Stevie, playing with Stevie, and then that was it again, season over again. But luckily, Stevie saw enough in the games that I did play, and made the move permanent. And we'd started all right. I think we were third in the league or something by the time Stevie left. So yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing one when he left. But then Ian Murray came in, and he had his own ideas with his own players, and he wanted to do things a different way, and I wasn't kind of a major part of that going forward. I played quite a bit for him that season, and left at the end of that season.
And then obviously you went at Airdrie, you went part time. Like, how hard did you find that going to part time, and what did you kind of do with yourself in the other spare time you had?
I kind of touched on it earlier. I was saying I think I was at the right age. I think I'd done it at the right age. Just for my body and stuff like that. Longevity to keep playing. So I'd done a PT diploma during that time. I've also started my B licence coaching. So I've started that. I'm just waiting to start my assessment for that whenever this pesky coronavirus decides to go away and leave us all alone. Let's get back on our lives. And I'm also, right now, I'm doing a creative media course too.
Brilliant.
So plenty to keep me busy.
Brilliant. You go to Stirling with Kevin Rutkowitz as well. Like, you had really good form there as well. Was that a good dressing room and place for you to be?
It was, yeah. Stirling was a great dressing room. Good working with Dinky as well. He's a reasonably new to management too, so it was quite good. Good to get in there and work with him and talk to him. And excuse me, he's got a lot of kind of newer coaching ideas, which I've kind of noticed in my B licence course too. So it was really good, and was really enjoying that. And again, we touched on earlier, I just started to hit a real good purple patch of form when the season got postponed.
Your last game, do you remember your last game before coronavirus came up?
Unfortunately, I do, yeah. Against Cove Rangers at Falkirk. Yeah, we played Elgin at the weekend on the Saturday up in Elgin, and we lost to Elgin up there, and then we played Cove on the Tuesday night, and we got beat 7-1. I think I was a sub that game, and I think Dinky put me on at 6-0. At that time, I think cheers, Gaffer. No, I come on and I scored. I scored with a wee mini revival. We scored, and then bloody let our guard down again, and they scored a bloody 7th. And then football was postponed almost immediately after that, so we didn't even get a chance to train or play or anything after that. So yeah, that was a bit a sour one to finish on with Stirling.
Obviously, you left Stirling. What were you going to kind of do with yourself during lockdown? Were you looking at like kind of other clubs? What was kind of going through your head during that time?
Wasn't looking at other clubs at all. Stirling were great through that. They put us on furlough and stuff, and paid us an extra month and stuff like that. Paid us through July with the furlough stuff and that. So, so they were great. They were great with that. It's just the travelling for me. I live in Largs, so the travelling for me, I was starting to find it a bit too much. Travelling from Largs to Stirling just with the traffic.
Yeah.
I could get caught at Howwood, then I could get caught at at Linwood, then caught in the traffic at Glasgow Airport, then caught at traffic at Hillington, then caught at traffic in the bridge. One night it took me like 2 hours 10 minutes to get from Largs to Stirling. And I'm like running out late onto the pitch and stuff, and it was just too much. Sometimes I was travelling for 3 hours just to do a 2-hour training session, and you're travelling training. So I think he said, we'll speak again when kind of football starts around, and we did, and just kind of decided that it was probably, I decided it wasn't a great idea for me to all that travelling, and he understood that, and he had other targets he could proceed with at that time as well. So yeah, it worked out fine for the both of us. Spoke to Gal in the summer, obviously knew Robbo from my time at Airdrie as well. We signed Kieran Miller from Airdrie too, so knew Vittoria was at Airdrie when I was there too, so I knew loads of the boys at Stranraer. We train in Ayrshire. 25 minutes to get to training for me. Yeah. It was an absolute no-brainer, absolutely ideal.
Brilliant. Stevie Farrell was signed you for Stranraer. How good's he been for you?
Great, great. Does really good tactical stuff. Probably a bit above this kind of level. I'm being totally honest. He's the way he eventually wants to play and have his team playing is probably at a kind of higher level, than kind of League Two level. And he kind of noticed, hats off to him. He noticed that kind of very early on, and he's changed us to a 4-4-2, and we've never looked back. Up until this postponement here, we were absolutely flying, unbeaten in 12. All of us are, all the strikers are scoring. We're keeping clean sheets. So it was all going great, and hopefully, whenever we do get allowed to train and resume our league again, hopefully we can take that form on with us.
Definitely. One of the players you play with, Grant Gallagher, what's his position?
On the bench. sitting on the bench, or in the stand, maybe even better. No, he's turning into a bit of a cafu these days, so right back or centre mid.
Brilliant. You were scoring goals for fun as well. Like, are you feeling fit? Like, are you feeling as if you can still play for a good few years?
Yeah, I felt great. Yeah, done pre-season, done every day of pre-season, and I've hardly missed a training session. I've missed, lately there, last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I've maybe missed the odd training session or that, just with a bit of stiffness, a bit of tightness. I think that's mostly just down to training on different AstroTurfs all the time, because during this, when we resumed, none of the training facilities we used to use were open, so we're just training whenever we could. So we're training on a different surface pretty much every night, and then you're playing on a different surface every Saturday, and I was just starting to get a bit stiff. My muscles were just starting to get a bit stiff, so I skipped the odd training session just to kind of recover, get massage and recover as best I could. So, but no, apart from that, I've not really missed any of the injuries, touch wood. So hopefully that can keep going as long as I feel good and injury free and feel that I can still contribute in a playing side, then I will try and play. But ultimately, I'm getting to an age now where I've got to start looking at the other side, and the license, I've started to be licensed, and I definitely want to get into coaching somewhere. So if an opportunity like that comes up sometime in the future, then it's something that I'm definitely going to consider.
And do you think you could do well in management?
Hopefully one day, yeah. I think I've got a good mentality for it. I think I've learned a lot off of a multitude of managers, which is one good thing about being a journeyman. You get to work with loads of managers, and all the good things and all the bad things, and things that you would do and things that you wouldn't do. And I think I've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience of how to handle players and how to organise a team as well. But I've got a long way to go. I've only got the B licence at the moment on the go, so I've got a long way to go. Hopefully get in somewhere coaching and just pick up coaching experience first, and then build up from there. Then start to get into maybe first team coach, then an assistant, then a manager. So looking at a long term project, probably the next 10, 15 years or so. So we'll see, mate. We'll see. That's the ultimate end goal, but you never know.
Brilliant. Are you all right closing with some quick fire questions, Darryl?
Yes, mate. Go for it.
Brilliant. Best player you've ever played with?
Russell Lappy.
Easy.
Genius. Absolute genius. Easily the best player. And we've covered some of the players that I've played with in my career.
Aye.
And Russell trumps them all easily.
Brilliant. Best player you played against?
Hardest, probably Bobo Baldi.
No.
Monster. Strong, big, quick. Nightmare to play against.
Favourite away ground?
Tynecastle.
Everybody says that. Just the atmosphere?
Aye, because it's dead close. The stadium's dead close to the pitch. It's all enclosed. Aye, Tynecastle.
Brilliant. Interesting fact about yourself that the viewers might not know?
Ooh. Interesting fact they might not know. Nothing. I can speak a wee bit of Konkani, which is going. You got to going. Indian.
Very good. Favourite film and TV show?
Oh, this is quite tough because there's been so many recently as well. I think Netflix has totally exploded with all this lockdown stuff as well. I've literally just finished watching The Queen's Gambit about chess.
The chess. I
don't know why I watched something about chess, but I really enjoyed that. It would have been Game of Thrones for the TV show. I absolutely loved it. But because George R.R. Martin hadn't finished writing the last season, the book, the producers and that just done
the last two. Aye.
And I thought they made a mess of it.
I think definitely.
So I can't wait for the next to come out. I'm going to read that. So I'll go Game of Thrones because I think when I read the books, I think it will be.
Brilliant.
Favourite movie? I love movies. I'm an absolute movie fan. So try to pick one. I'll go with Gladiator. Love Gladiator. I'll go with that.
Very good. Best friend in football?
Ooh. Best friend in football. That's the thing in football, you get a lot of friends.
Aye.
And you keep in touch with a lot of people. I'll go Martin Scott. I'll go Jimmy.
Brilliant. Finally, best manager you played under?
Yogi.
Yeah.
Harder one. That's a harder one. But Yogi.
Brilliant. Darryl, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show, mate. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks very much for that. It's been brilliant.
Thanks for having me, mate. Cheers.
Brilliant. Cheers, Darryl. Cheers.
Gonna get better real soon. Yeah, I'ma just do me, you just do you. I swear it's gonna get better real soon. Don't let anyone tell you what you should do. I got a clear view. We're gonna make it soon. Just keep pushing through.